Welcome to my first video. Today I wanted to, unpack some of the paradoxes of human life. I feel like some people have heard about the paradox of choice, which means that the more options that are presented to you, the less likely you are to pick anything. And I think that's an especially prevalent issue in modern society because we have access to everything and we can do anything, but nothing feels substantial anymore. Historically speaking, even though the world is in probably a much better standing in some aspects than it was historically, there was less option or opportunity. So people had more incentive to do more because there wasn't an infinite amount of choices of things you could do and be. And I don't think the paradox of choice is necessarily a bad thing, but I do think it debilitates us in some capacity where nothing feels worthwhile. Nothing feels as though it will be completely grounded. For me, at least, I'm someone who has many aspirations and many passions, and I find it hard to centralize it into one stream of income, into one job, into one way in which I can move about the world. Now, I think this issue comes from a variety of factors, but the most notable one being technology. Technology is something that pre-technology we wouldn't even be able to conceptualize. The internet, the dot-com bomb, let alone something like AI, which is so prevalent now. And now I feel as though at least Gen Z is in a bit of a crisis where we have access to everything, but there's no grit involved. Everything has been sort of watered down and simplified to be easier for us to do. And so even though it's all simplified, nothing is achieved because we don't have that difficulty, I guess, when it comes to acquiring something. Now, I don't believe life should be difficult, but I also don't think life should be overly easy. And something I find in my own personal experience is we've been given all of these devices that are easing our brain and making us slowly dumber due to instant gratification. And we kind of have lost the sense of a slow momentum, a slower build, a slower discipline. Even sometimes, for me, if I find something too difficult, instead of sitting in that difficulty, I can find something else in my reality that would sort of mute the internal voice in my head. And so we've kind of lost the ability to be able to sit with difficulty in a sense. Me trying to make this video, I've tried to make it a few times. Each time it comes out slightly differently. But I still think it's a good example of the phenomena I'm trying to discuss. My brain is scattered. I have 1,000 ideas that I'm trying to compile into one succinct analysis of what I'm trying to say. But I find myself inundated with thoughts, and they all kind of split off into different tangents that I'm finding difficult to grasp and place together, to put them in one clear cognizant web of understanding. Instead, I'm left with strings of thought that I never quite braid together. And I think this phenomena is not unique to me. I've noticed it in my daily life in talking to people. People are so zoned in that because we have technology, you have your own little personal bubble you can curate. And then it's dependent on the agent, the person with the phone, so you or I, to sort of tailor their worldview intelligently, so that when you doom scroll or when you go on social media or when you use these things that are kind of short-term gratifying devices, you get a grand synopsis of the world. But it's very easy to fall into the trap that we only want things that validate our own perspective already. This is a phenomena that is historically contingent. It's objective. I think it's subjective bias. I can't remember what it's called. But it's basically just seeking information that further validates your own worldview. And me personally, I think I have the adverse problem of that. I kind of seek everything that would go contra to what I believe. in addition to things that do sort of validate my perspective. And so, on top of that, I've kind of developed a really scattered and very broad understanding of something, and I'm finding difficulty in putting all the pieces of the jigsaw together. So this is my attempt at that. My attempt is to try and voice something that I find prevalent to me and hopefully prevalent to other people. Over the past couple of months, I've had a difficulty in wanting anything. And I was having a conversation with my friend, and we both felt like we had no desire to do anything, or that we were watching Obsession, and we believed that humans actually don't know what they want or what they desire. You think you want one thing and you get it as you asked for it, but it's not really what you were looking for. It wasn't something that was going to fulfill you in the first place. And I think this paradox of choice, this epidemic that is going on with social media and AI and all of these things, is we're not actually sure on a soul level. We're not sure what it is we're looking for, we're searching for. And I get scared trying to actualize my life and create a life that is by design by me. And I'm sitting there and I kind of outthink myself. I think, okay, I'll do this. And then before I've even started, I give myself a plethora of reasons as to why I shouldn't have started it in the first place. It's as though my intuition nudges me one way, and then my internal monologue talks me out of it. And I'm trying to break that loop of listening to these limiting ideas, because ultimately it's going to do nothing but leave me at the same place as where I started. And my goal is to not stay stagnant. It's interesting because I believe humans need change and we need challenge. And everything in this world is being designed to keep you the same and to not challenge you, to keep you stuck in the same thought patterns and the same loops and the same beliefs about the world, which are ultimately only your perception. And I think it's very intelligent the way this system has been designed to kind of keep us perpetually trapped in our own beliefs. And it's something that I think is hurting everyone on like a soul level. If we are to believe that there is a soul, it's kind of sucking the life and the joy out of just the nature of the human experience. This is getting very tangential as I predicted. And I think the only way to remedy this sort of conflict is to do something or die trying, you know? No matter what sort of vision you have in your brain about what you see your life to be or what you would hope your life to be, you kind of have to make the step. This is something that I'm learning. Even if the outcome is something you're not even sure you will want, you kind of have to do it and hope that your own internal compass will guide you wherever it is that you actually are supposed to go. And I'm just trying to, I guess, instill a bit of hope in myself and in anybody that needs it. Because life is challenging. Life presents obstacles to us which we consciously understand, but we can't, subconsciously we're scared and we almost can't escape the trap. And I also don't think life is hard, I'll be honest. I think life is hard, but it's hard if you choose to make it hard. You know, it's just an experience, or it's just a moment. And the only thing you can do is be present in whatever moment it is you're in and ask yourself, is this what I want to be doing right now? Is this something that I feel the urge to do right now? Or is there something else that I would rather be doing, but my own internal fear is stifling me from getting to that place? And just quickly to finish off, this paradox of choice that I mentioned earlier, I think the only way, from my view, the only way that we can escape it or we can sort of choose is to do just one thing. And if you're anything like me and you have 100 things that you want to do and achieve, you have to start with one thing. Otherwise, the conception of the 1,000 other, the plethora, the pantheon of ideas you have will never even be used. There will just be continuous, untapped potential that someone else will get to before you do. There's that famous idea that Michael Jackson and Prince were in sort of a competition because they felt as though if they didn't make something right then, the other person would get to the idea before they did. What was at the crux of these two figures, of Michael Jackson and Prince, is they both had a sense of agency and they both acted upon their conscious intuition immediately. And that immediacy sort of slowly molded their life into something that was of their design. And I hope that for all of us. I used to say I remember I was young and I had to be sent to a psychologist for various mental health issues that I was facing at the time. And I remember trying to describe to my psychologist that if we were to be able to formulate some sort of graph and it spanned across the entirety of humanity, and we could kind of encapsulate everyone's strengths and weaknesses within the graph, it would all end up balancing out somehow. You know, I think a big reason we kind of stop ourselves is we think that someone else is going to get to the idea before we do, or is going to do it better than we do, right? And the thing I've kind of started learning just in my experience in the world is everyone is very, we're all the same, but we're all quite unique in our own ways. And no one person's journey is exactly like another person's. And that's something to be embraced instead of ridiculed. We can't be using this resource of the internet to break ourselves down. It's more of a compass of the possibilities that you yourself could go on, but it will never be the exact same as someone else's. And I think that might be one of the main symptoms, I think, of a generation so inundated with technology is we are sort of asked for complete uniqueness and authenticity, but we present it, and because it doesn't look archetypal or in the exact mold that we think that mold that they should be, we criticize, And I think the criticism of each other is a reflection of our internal criticism of ourselves. So I would like, something I'm trying to do is to just do it. Like a NICAD, just do whatever it is you have been feeling the urge to do it. And if you're experiencing blockages or maybe something that you can't even identify, it's like a subconscious hindrance to whatever it is you want to do, you kind of have to sit there and unpack why you're experiencing that. And it's painful, Your life experience is very vast and very multifaceted, and I hope we all learn to embrace our own unique attributes and work in tandem in community to foster something good for humanity. So I can't remember who said this quote. I'll try and put it here. It's either Martin Luther King or something. If good people could organize themselves as well as evil people, the world would be a much more balanced place. And I think that's something that people who have an innate goodness within them are worse at being sort of organized and doing things by the book. If you think about the Nazis in Germany, they were really on their shit. They were regimented. They knew what was happening and when. And this is getting tangential and it doesn't even matter, but just do whatever it is that you've been trying to put off, or find whatever it is that makes you feel a little bit more alive. I hope I kind of covered and I managed to pull all of the strings together in a way that makes sense for someone else. But these are just my own internal ramblings, and I kind of needed to just get it out there eventually. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed.